All right, guys, good evening. It's Tuesday night. It's a few minutes after 7 o'clock Central, so it is time for conversations with Commodores. And most of you may know who my guest is this evening. If you ever got a haircut over at the medical center during the 80s and 90s and certain time periods, you knew Emma as the hairstylist. Good evening, Emma. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for making a few minutes of time for us tonight. And I know you got some great stories, so I'm really interested in our talk tonight. But for folks who may not have been around during your time or may not know you, what time periods were you affiliated with the hair salon at the medical center?
From 1978 until
Mhm.
2013.
Well, that really covers a whole bunch of school terms, that's for sure. And Emma, how did you end up at that job? Tell us a little bit about your background.
I actually worked for Judy, which you don't know, but she came to work with me out at Vanderbilt after y'all all left.
Mhm.
She had a shop on Dickerson Road, and I went to work for her for a while.
Mhm.
And then the guy that was running the shop at Vanderbilt needed a hairdresser. So he asked me to come out there and fill in a few days because the girl got mad at him and quit. So I did, and he ended up leaving, and I ended up taking it over.
And what was the name of the hair salon there at Vanderbilt?
Well, it started out different names, and then when I took over, I just had them change it to Vanderbilt Hair Salon
Well,
because it was Vanderbilt and it was easier.
it was very easy. And let's back up just a little bit. Emma, tell us, where did you grow up?
Chattanooga.
And then how did you make your way to the Nashville area?
Oh, God. Let's see. From Chattanooga, I went to Knoxville.
Mhm.
And then from Knoxville, I moved to Nashville and ended up getting married. And y'all all knew Dale. Dale worked for the Vanderbilt Police Department.
Mhm.
And I lost him in 1997.
Mhm.
And let's see, Elena, of course, worked out over at McGugan, lifting weights with y'all. She's now 44, 45, something like that. And I have a set of twin grandsons, 7 years old. One who is feisty and all get out, and the other one who's electrically inclined.
Mhm. Awesome.
And then I am remarried.
Uh-huh.
Of course, he's a little younger than I am, but and his name is Greg. So, and we've been married about 14 years now.
Very good. Very good. Now, did you have any love of sports before you came to Vanderbilt, or tell us a little bit about that, your childhood, or maybe did you play sports as a kid?
I did play basketball, but now my dad was big in sports. My brothers both played sports.
Mhm.
Of course, one of my brothers went to the University of Tennessee, and he played baseball under Coach Wright up there in the 60s.
Mhm.
And then I have another brother who was down in Florida at Lake City Junior College and played basketball. And everybody in the family's always been real athletic.
Mhm.
But when I went to work for Vanderbilt and became a Vanderbilt fan, it was taboo because we had an inner fight. But what got me interested in Vanderbilt sports, and I hate to go back this far, Phil Cox.
Well, share. That's why we're here tonight. We want to know your story. How did you meet Phil Cox, or were you a fan of the basketball program, or how did he
No.
find you at the salon?
I wasn't a fan of any sports, but Dale worked the basketball games.
Okay.
So I would go after work to the basketball games and wait on him to get off, and we'd go home together.
Mhm.
And I got interested in watching Phil because he was just fascinating.
Mhm.
But that was back in Jimmy Lynn's, Jeff Gary, Jeff Turner, Phil Cox, Al McKinney. Those were the first guys I became friends with. And they weren't that much younger than us.
Mhm.
So we actually became friends. Steve Reese, Glenn Clem.
Mhm.
And I think Glenn's playing golf now somewhere. But those were the ones I started out with. Johnny Clark, Fitzpatrick,
Yeah,
Aikman.
this is all in the mid 80s. Those basketball players you're referring to were the late 70s to the early 80s.
Well,
Glenn
then I
Clem.
became real good friends with Will Purdue and Steve Reese and that group. Scott
That was-
Drought.
Yeah, Scott was in the same class as me. Of course, Scott played basketball when I was there. We were the same age, but it just seemed like every time that I would go and get my hair cut, there was always either someone else coming in right after me, or there was somebody already there from one of the sports programs. And it was, I don't know, maybe a 7 to 10 minute walk from McGugin once you found your way, because it wasn't easy to find the basement, at least at the time. Was it always in the basement at the medical
Well,
center?
it wasn't the basement. It was actually the main level. It was the second floor,
Okay.
but it always seemed like the basement.
Yeah, it really did. I just remember being taken there for the first time because I couldn't find it. But
Well, Brad Bates came over there
Mhm.
and Federici, Paul Federici. And so we had a good rapport with all of us. Plus, like I say, we were all about the same age.
Yeah.
So they also they were like friends. And of
Mhm.
course, Sharon was younger that worked with me. You remember her?
I do.
And I think everybody loved flirting with Sharon.
I remember you had a few either photographs or promotional items about the different sports teams on your the window, or the mirrors. But the thing that I always enjoyed about it is it was a very friendly atmosphere. It was a place where you didn't have to be. There was no stress whatsoever. It was very friendly. It was a lot of fun, and I always look forward to coming in there. And I guess from that, each class would tell the next class, "Hey, if you need to get your hair cut on campus, you need to go see Emma."
Well, I appreciate that. We had a lot of fun. We used to cut up with Watson. We'd have the best time with Watson Brown there was. The only football game I ever went to on the road was a UT game. And it was me and Sharon and another girl and Mama Stack. And we took off and went to spend the weekend in Knoxville. Most miserable I've ever been.
Oh, no, why?
They were so obnoxious.
Oh,
and of
boy.
course, Sharon didn't make it any better. Because anytime they said something to her, she was right back in their face.
Well, sure.
But we stayed at the same hotel y'all stayed at. And Watson told us, now y'all behave. But we had a great time.
Guys, I'm talking with Emma Harris. Emma cut hair for over 30 years, almost 35 years at the medical center, and countless baseball, football, basketball, and probably other sports, student athletes and coaches, administrators, all came over to the Vanderbilt hair salon, which was over at the medical center. And that's where my path with Emma, my freshman year, which would have been in the fall of '86, would have crossed paths with Emma. And admittedly, I was so excited to find you through social media. I just had to make sure that you came on and shared some of your stories. I know that at least from a baseball standpoint, maybe Scotty Madison might have been one of your clients back in the day.
Scotty was, Kelly Cliftonstein, DJ, David Joyner. We had it, like I say, we had a wide variety of different people. I even did the swim coach's hair at one time.
Very
the hippie
good.
guy.
Well,
Pete Fetters.
what was so fun for you and Sharon about when the student athletes would come in and as customers?
Well, because we got involved in the sports thing too. I mean, like the year that Vanderbilt went to the Sweet 16 when Will was playing, we had a TV set that we sat in the doorway of the hair salon into the hallway, and we got really lousy reception. So we had aluminum foil hanging in the hallway to pick up the ball game. And we had a doctor that worked around the corner from us, Dr. Graham. And Dr. Graham has since passed away, but an avid Vanderbilt sports fan. And he was in there watching the game with us, and somebody got in the way of the aluminum foil. And he told him, he said, either come in and sit down or get out of the way. You know, I'm watching the game. But that's how, and we just sort of shut down. We even shut the shop down and went to the Sweet 16, which we never did. We never
Right.
shut down or anything, but we did to go to the ball games.
You know, that does make it the connection that you had a glimpse into the lives of so many student athletes away from their responsibilities on the campus. And you probably saw some of their personalities come out much more so because they were probably a little bit less stressed sitting in the chair and just chatting away with you. And I bet that was a fun experiences for both.
It was very fun. California Red, which is what I called him, but Royce Risser,
Oh yeah.
I called him California Red. Well, when he went home to California, I ended up bringing all his stuff here and storing it at my house, so he wouldn't have to pay storage.
Oh, sure.
But I keep up with Royce even now.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I've done his boy's hair, and his wife is a wonderful person.
Oh,
And
that's
I
so
saw
cool.
Go when he came in to do his book,
Uh-huh.
Gary Goheen,
Mhm.
and Booker, and Frank Cornett and Tracy are here now.
Mhm.
So I get to see them occasionally. Steve and them are here, so I see, them on Facebook occasionally. I still cut Brett Burrows' hair.
Well, I was gonna ask you, where do you have a shop now, or what are you doing now professionally?
Actually, I'm on Music Row.
Oh, very good.
I've always thought that was a joke, but we
What-
are actually, we have a small shop on Music Row,
What's the name of the shop?
Reno's.
Reno's. Okay.
When I left Vanderbilt in 2013, we went to the Baker building,
Mhm.
and there was a shop in there that the guy already had, and his name was Reno.
Mhm.
And so I leased a booth from Reno, and another guy leased a booth from Reno. Well, Reno got Lou Gehrig's disease and ended up passing away. So we took over the shop from Reno. Well, shortly after the pandemic started, Vanderbilt decided that they were going to terminate our lease. They weren't going to renew.
Mhm.
So we got out and found a small little area over on Music Row, and we moved over there. And we're actually catty corner to the freshman dorms over there. We back up to 18th.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What's nearby so folks can know some landmarks to come if they want to come see you.
We're across from the Hill Center.
Okay.
Off 18th, you come in through that lot 77, I think it is, Vanderbilt's parking lot. Come to the back of it, and we're in the back of that lot, but it's not Vanderbilt property.
I gotcha. Gotcha.
But during the pandemic, because I'm getting old, we decided not to take any new clientele at all.
Mhm.
If I've never done your hair before, we're
Mhm.
not taking anybody we don't know.
What about
Because
folks? What
With
about
the pan-
what if we were in school in the mid 80s and want to come by and say hello and get
I'd
a
love
quick trim?
I would love it. That's different. I've done your hair before.
It's been a while ago, but you sure have many times. Guys, I'm talking with Emma Harris. We are just chatting about some good old days. Emma was one of the hairstylists at the Vanderbilt Medical Center for many, many years, and just had friendships and fun relationships with many student athletes over the decades. And Emma, I want to go to football games. I want to talk about basketball games and maybe baseball or any other sports that you attended. What was so fun for you to be able to see the athletes who were your customers, get to see them do their thing in their sports while representing the school?
It could get you in a lot of fights.
Uh-oh.
Like I say, you don't want somebody sitting around you that's from the opposite team and
Mhm.
say anything about anybody you know,
That's
especially with me and Sharon there,
right. Mhm.
because Sharon was going to start it and I was going to have to finish it. She got up and, when we went to Knoxville, she got in the guy's face. And she informed him that our players had education,
Mhm.
and she was sorry that he had none.
Guys, don't you ever doubt whether Emma had your back on or off the field, on or off the court. And Dwayne Jones says to tell you that his brother Jody's dental practice is right around the corner from you, and he's going to send Jody over there to say hello.
Okay.
And
That'd be
Emma,
great.
let's see, we got Tyler Unzicker, we got Kenny Cole, Dwayne Jones, and a few others who've rolled through. Of course, I'm talking with Emma Harris. If Emma cut your hair back in the day, raise your hand. Let it be known so I can give her a shout out and let her know who's there. Emma, do you have any specific game memories of games you went to that maybe stuck out more than others, other than that UT experience where
Well,
you got
Florida
into
almost
it?
got thrown on the field, on the basketball court, Dwayne Shinsis.
Oh, the tennis balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at that game as well. That was in about 88 or 89. That's right. And it cost us the game.
And then when Jeff Gary got his cheekbone crushed.
Oh, yeah. Were you at that game?
I was at that. I didn't miss but one game back in the day, and that was Indiana.
Mhm.
Because if Bobby Knight had started cussing, I would have probably gone off on him. But he's the one person I couldn't be around. I mean, the rest of them, Wimp, Sanderson, and all them didn't bother me at all. But there was something about Bobby Knight.
Well, if it's the game I remember, I think we beat Indiana and they had Steve Alford, and
We
they
did.
might have been ranked #1 or #2 in the country at the time.
We beat them in Notre Dame the same year.
That's right. Those were some great teams, weren't they, in the late 80s?
We had some great teams. And now my favorite football game
Mhm.
was a UT game at Vanderbilt.
Okay.
And it's probably one of the last ones I went to with my uncle and my dad.
Mhm.
They're both UT fans. It is pouring down rain. I'm getting soaked. We led that game most of the way and ended up losing, which we did so many games that Watson coached. We led the entire game and then something happens.
Yeah.
But driving home with them, they're sitting there ribbing me so bad. I actually pulled over on 65 and told them to get out. They didn't, of course, but I told them to get out or hush.
Do not mess with Emma and her allegiance to the Vanderbilt sports programs.
You know, but we were diehard, you know, and I loved Watson. Coach Bradley, you had him on a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Love seeing Coach Bradley.
Yeah.
And the sad thing was I looked at Coach Bradley and I used to cut his son's hair too.
Rusty when he was much younger.
I mean, he was in high school.
Yeah. Awesome.
It's like, wow.
Guys, I'm talking with Emma Harris. Emma was with the Vanderbilt Hair Salon for 30 plus years, and she cut hundreds of student athletes hair. She cut the hair of the doctors in the hospital, you name it, they have come through. And that's what I was going to ask you, Emma. And I don't know if this breaks any type of hairstylist and customer confidentialities. I'm not going to ask you what was communicated, but can you share, did you cut the hair of any well-known musicians or people in the Nashville area that we might know of?
No, I won't say I did that. I mean,
I'll respect that privacy.
we had some people that, came through that it wouldn't have made any difference to me if they were music stars or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because half of them I wouldn't know. If it wasn't for Royce, I wouldn't know who some of this new talent is.
Mm-hmm.
He explained to me because I am old school. If it's not Elvis, I'm lost.
Now, when you have somebody in the chair, would you rather them be quiet or fall asleep, or would you rather them be communicative and have a conversation with you?
Do you ever think anybody ever fell asleep in my chair for lack of conversation?
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so.
Hey, can you sit in my chair and not talk?
No, there has to be whatever's going on in the day. That's usually what's the conversation around that. And that's what was the beauty.
Friendly people talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really get a choice, I don't guess.
I don't have any guys. That's one of the great things about Emma and the Vanderbilt Hair Salon back in the day. You never knew when you walked in that door who was going to be there. Again, there could be professors, there could be doctors or nurses, or it could be completely empty, which is probably very rare. Or there could be some of your athletes, or some of your teammates waiting their turn to get a haircut. Now, back in the day, I want to say haircuts were about $5 in the 80s. Did they go
They
up
were.
or down, or they remain the same for the student athletes?
Oh, no, they've all gone up,
Have
but
they?
we didn't really, things have changed a lot. I remember Kenny Pruss,
Oh, sure.
and I think he's in New Jersey somewhere,
Mhm.
but I think it was Pat Akos that had his hair real long at one time and had it pulled back in a ponytail. And he was going to cut that ponytail off. And there was an older patient that was in the hair salon at that time, and she wanted his ponytail. And at that time, he wasn't going to cut it.
Mhm.
But he ended up down the road cutting his ponytail off and asked me to give it to that lady. And you'd have thought I handed her a plate of gold. She was so excited because she
Wow.
would sit and talk to everybody that came in the shop.
Mhm.
But she was in her 80s and had graduated from Vanderbilt back in the day. So things like that, and Will Purdue would always go up and see the kids with me if I needed him to go see a patient. And some of the football players would too. So it was like it was more like a family connection.
Mhm.
And some of my customers that remember you guys, I still do their hair after 40 years.
Wow.
So it's really a hometown family.
It really is. And you were the big sister to many. You were the confidant. You were the one that if somebody needed some advice or a shoulder to cry upon, sometimes that was Emma. That was beauty. Can you hear me okay? I'm getting a little feedback, but that was one of the beauties
Oh, I hear
about
you.
going and seeing Emma and getting your hair cut.
Now, I will have to tell you, my favorite
Mhm.
situation would be when you would talk to some of these kids and they would look at you like, okay. But then I had somebody, because I was knowledgeable, I guess. I was older than I was mentally. Does
Mhm.
that make sense?
It does.
And I had somebody ask me, oh, did you do Watson's hair when he was in school? I said, no, I did Watson's hair when he was in school. I was in grade school when Watson was in college.
That's right. Yeah, Watson was at
But,
Vanderbilt 68, 69, 70, 71 time period.
but I would have people ask if I did his hair when he was in college.
Yeah.
And I thought, do I look that old?
Then he came back 10 years later. So you might have been cutting his hair in the early 80s. And then when he came back
Oh, I
the third time, when he became the coach in the fall of 85, he was there for then 5 years. Yeah. Well, guys,
We
I'm
used to have,
talking with Emma Harris, and she's sharing some great stories about her time at the Vanderbilt Medical Center. Emma, when was the last time you got to go to one of the football games? Have you been in the last several years?
actually, I went one time when Bobby Johnson was coaching.
Mhm.
But after Dale died, it was really hard for me to do some of these things.
I'm
So
sure.
I didn't do as much with the sports after that.
Mhm.
But now he was a sensational guy.
Mhm.
Class act.
Very, very,
Of
very
course,
highly thought of during his time.
CM Newton will always be one of my favorite people.
Mhm.
You
Coach
couldn't have
Newton.
beat him.
No, he was such a class act and had such great teams and respect around the country. That's absolutely true.
That's absolutely true.
Emma, are you following the team now?
Actually, I have to confess and say no.
Mhm.
I don't, I just don't go.
Mhm.
Now, if I'm sitting and I watch it, I'll catch it on TV or something.
Mhm.
But it's not the same. The athletes are not the same to me.
Mhm.
But maybe that's because I'm a whole lot older than these guys, and I'm not that much older than you guys.
Well, I was going to say, back in the day, you were just a little bit older than us, and just that connection from an age standpoint makes a big difference. What
It's been a
about?
long time. It's been a long time since I've been invited to a frat party.
That's true. That's true. Emma, what about baseball? Do you follow the baseball program?
We have followed the baseball program.
Isn't it amazing what they're doing these days?
He's a great coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're lucky to have him.
Well, we've got just a couple more minutes. I'm talking with Emma, formerly with the Vanderbilt Hair Salon. She was there for many, many years and friended many of the student athletes over the years and just sharing some wonderful memories. Emma, I guess I would ask of you, what do you think in your experience, what was it that set the student athlete apart from just regular students who you may have seen, may have cut their hair?
Oh, you really want me to be honest?
Well, sure. That's why we're here.
They didn't give off the entitlement.
Mhm.
They were hardworking kids
Mhm.
who were just there basically to get an education.
Mhm.
And they played sports to get their education, a lot of them. I would say not all of your Vanderbilt athletes come from money.
Right.
They were there on scholarships.
Mhm.
And they were working their tail off to stay in, school. I look at Frank Cornett and, he got so upset one time when he was flunking a class. I won't tell you which one because it's embarrassing, but he got over it and he passed the class. But Coach Newton had this thing. You're not passing, you're not playing, you're sitting. But he was that's the way. And I admired him for that. I loved Coach Martin. Ed Martin was just wonderful. Coach Bradley, he was a great guy. There was two other ones. Christophel, was it Christophel?
Rick Christophel, he's now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tight ends coach.
Well, he used to come over.
Right.
And then there was another guy.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of his name, but he was the defensive.
Well, there's many. It could have been Dick Hopkins.
Nope.
It could have been maybe Coach Greg Mantooth.
I knew.
Lynn Hellstock. I'm kind of drawing a blank on who it could be. But while we're thinking of that, Emma, Steve Law says to please love. He just signed in, and Greg Simmons also just signed on with us. So thank you, fellas.
Hi, y'all.
Emma, I guess I got another minute or so with you, and I really appreciate you sharing some of your memories and throwing out all these awesome names over the time of your experience at Vanderbilt. And you didn't grow up being a Vanderbilt fan, but how long did it take you into your tenure at the medical center to really start rooting for the teams? Probably not
I guess
very long, I suspect.
no, it wasn't. It was about a year and a half
Mhm.
after I started there because I was young. I was only 20 when I started there. So I think I was like 21, maybe 22. And it was when Jeff Turner went to the Olympics.
That would have been in about 84, I think.
Okay. Well, I watched him play the whole time too.
Mhm.
And so, and like I say, Phil Cox and Phil's mama, I used to sit up there with Phil's mom and Jeff Gary's mama. And that's where I sat for the ball games. It was up where their parents were. But it was fun. We had a good time.
And isn't Memorial Coliseum such a magical place for ball games?
It's wonderful. And I don't know why Wimp Sanderson hated it so bad.
Well, Emma, I want to thank you for spending a little bit of time and just reliving some glory days. And so thank you for sharing all of that tonight.
Well, I would love to hear from some of these old guys.
Well, how can folks get in touch with you? You want me to share an email address or?
I'll number up there. I don't care. You can give them my cell phone number.
Okay. Well, any of you guys who want to reconnect with Emma, just send me a private message and I'll make sure that we put you in touch with Emma Harris, formerly hairstylist at Vanderbilt Medical Center, all during the late 70s through 2013. So Emma, thank you very much. I really have enjoyed it.
You're welcome, Bernard. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And guys, as we try to do, we're creating the oral history of the Vanderbilt program from folks who were ball players, coaches, and everybody in between, including huge fans and friends of members of the program like Emma Harris. So please keep coming back each Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Central. And remember, anchor down. Good night.